So last spring, the garden went through a strategic planning process, and the very first item in that strategic planning process was to explore how we can continue to get our message out there in relevant ways. And so it was determined that we were going to seek a company to help us do that, because the church isn't necessarily always very good at that, and there are professional companies to help us do that. So we applied for some funding and received a $15,000 grant from the Center for Congregations. And then we went off looking for a company, and we found one. And we found a company that we knew we would work with perfectly, because this was the picture of their team on the website. If you note, they're eating donuts. So we had the donut synergy from the very beginning. This is a group called Small Box, and they're a creative culture agency, and the girls are going to tell us a little more about that in a moment here. It's my honor to introduce to you Mo Saul. Mo is a person who believes that we all have a story to tell and is interested in our stories, and she's going to share a little bit today, as well as Sarah Herbert. Sarah also is a wonderful design person who is interested in exploring the design of what it means to be the garden. So today, in order for us to keep moving forth on this project, we need your help. And they're going to lead us in some conversation and in some direction in moving forth. So will you join me in welcoming Mo and Sarah?
Hi, thank you. I'm Mo Saul. I am a design strategist for Smallbox, which means that I help conduct research. I also lead on strategic messaging for the company.
And I am Sarah Herbert, design director at Smallbox, and so I do a little bit of everything design, graphic design, website design, design research as well. So as Carolyn mentioned, we are from Smallbox. We are a creative agency in Broad Ripple, and we work alongside mission-driven organizations to create meaningful brand experiences. So we work with organizations to develop strategic plans, develop brand identity and messaging, and also websites as well. And so our approach is a human-centered approach. And so while we might be on the stage today, we are really here to learn from you all. So we have a few activities that might be a little uncomfortable, get you out of your comfort zone, get you writing. So we appreciate your participation today.
Yes, so we are here as part of our research. We are going to connect with you all and get some of your opinions and feedback so that the garden can better understand and anticipate your needs. You'll notice that you have colored sheets at your place settings, and we just ask that you all just do one of them. One is for when you feel at peace, one is for when you feel accepted, and another is for when you feel loved. And we just ask that you write a small moment from your life. It doesn't have to be specific to the garden, but just your life in general when you might feel one of these emotions. So if you want to take a moment to do that, and then when you're finished, you can just leave it at your place setting and we'll collect it at the end.
So we're continuing on this journey with Sarah and Mo. And as we continue on, I want to let people know who are joining us on Facebook Live that you too can engage in this. Just go ahead and write your comments on the scrolling form there, Rhonda. We know you're there because you're always there every week when you're not here. So let us know that you can engage no matter where you are today, because you're an important part of this journey as we move forth. So I'm going to invite Mo or Sarah back up. I think Sarah's on her own this time.
All right, so as Carolyn mentioned, we are now moving into our second activity, and so we ask that you participate with us. And so on the table in front of you, there should be a large piece of paper, and so if there's not, raise your hand and Mo will be sure to find you and get you a piece of paper, or take one from the table next to you. But for this next activity, we have the opportunity to really imagine what we want the future of the garden to be. So there are three parts to this activity. The first part, on the left, on your sheet here, we want you to describe the garden now. And then on the right, so we're actually going to jump all the way to the right, we want you to use your imagination and tell us, what do you want the garden to be like 10 years from now? And then we're going to move back to the middle of the sheet, and we're going to ask you to think outside of the box and brainstorm ideas. How do we get there? What do we need to do to make this future a reality? All right, I hope everyone has their creative juices flowing. We'll go ahead and get started. We have about 8 minutes or so. So grab a pen, and on the very left of your sheet, describe the garden as it is right now. What is your favorite thing? What do you love about the garden? What is your experience like? And feel free to draw pictures if you would rather do that. Go ahead and finish up your thoughts there, and if you haven't already, feel free to move on to the very right side of the sheet and use your imagination. What do you want the garden to be like 10 years from now? Okay, now for the fun one. What ideas do you have? How do we get there? Brainstorm any ideas you have around fellowship, around community, around what this looks like. How do we get there? Feel free to think outside of the box, and any wild ideas are encouraged. There's no right or wrong. Just a couple of minutes left, so if you haven't already, feel free to start wrapping up your thoughts, or if you need more time, continue to write throughout the rest of the service. Or maybe share your ideas with your neighbor. Maybe that will spark something new that you haven't thought of before. All right, so we're going to start wrapping up. Please, as you finish, just leave all of the pieces of paper on the table in front of you, and we will go around and collect those. We are so excited to see what your vision for the garden is and what ideas that you have to get us there. So we are so grateful. Thank you so much for having us, not just for the donuts, but the opportunity to get to know you all. So we are so grateful. Thank you so much.